How many children should there be in a normal family? After all, an increase in the number of children seems to be the cause of a decrease in material well-being. Some parents try to create more wealth by reducing the number of children, so they themselves cut off the branch on which they are sitting. Often parents want to create a material level for their children that they themselves will not be able to achieve. And if they achieve it, will it be necessary for their children? Wealth is a rise that has no top. There is a huge disparity between the growth of material well-being and the birth rate. The wealth of many families is growing, but the number of children in them is not increasing. Children should not use a level of material well-being for themselves that they will not be able to eradicate in the future. That is, children's needs should be kept at a level that encourages them to increase their material achievements. Wealth should stimulate them, not make them materially important in the future. In rich families, it is necessary to keep personalized accounting so that it is always possible to show children their expense, which they should already incur for their children. And poor families should take social loans. Without luck, there will be no development. Without difficulties, there will be no progress. Do not wrap your only children with huge material goods. Remember the level of prosperity of your childhood. It was not so high, but you grew up so smart, and now you live even better. So, what are the grounds for limiting the genius? Children can be born in a family every 2 to 3 years. The family should have enough money in this situation for care and upbringing, and if necessary, it will be needed to take the required state loans, and then the living condition of children will be equal both for millionaires and for the poor. The essence of this is that the state should issue social loans for the normal and full development of children. The cost should be reimbursed in the form of taxes, which they will pay after reaching their adulthood. How much more can be done to make our earth able to accommodate much more people, 10, 100 times more? There are no limits to growth of offspring, the next generation. If necessary, special laws on these issues will be adopted someday. But now there are none, so we need to use the opportunities provided. How children to provide them with the material and spiritual needs worthy of your use. But if you have more, do not limit your lineage and you will live long. Next, I will try to prove that upbringing is most effective in large families. Children play in their games, they reproduce the activities of adults. Children evolve older children in their games so that they explain the questions that arise before them. That is, the provision of information may not necessarily come from adults. It can be transmitted in stages, from adults to elders, from elders to younger ones, and so on. This facilitates the task of educators. Upbringing becomes easier in terms of efficiency. Children are best raised, in my opinion, in groups with an age difference of 2 to 3 years. Then older children in games reproduce themselves in the role of parents over younger children. They improve their upbringing skills. Adults should also be included in these groups to some extent. The best condition for graded education as a family. The most optimal family is one in which all grades are filled, a large family. The connection between generations is born even before school. Care for the younger and weaker, respect for elders and peers should be established as early as possible. Let's trace the genetic path of transmitting physiological information to our offspring. Take the transmission of genes as an example. Genes are mixed already in the first generation, and then, as a result of genetic branching, little remains of the original individuals. The offspring becomes physiologically as similar to the surrounding individuals as it was to its ancestor. On the contrary, how many children initially strangers to us are taken in for upbringing and give their parents great pleasure and happiness. How much it means to continue one's family name and lineage. How good it is that there is someone to pass on our material heritage and spiritual wealth. How strongly children and grandchildren are proud of the achievements of their parents, the achievements of their country, the achievements of all humanity. And it happens that even a native child with a different upbringing becomes a stranger to his parents in spirit. A person is a person because the presence of reason and spirit in him becomes a more important feature than the possession of certain physical achievements. The transmission of reason and spiritual transmission between generations is more important, more in line with human nature than the transmission of the genome to one's descendants. Also, we must be both, since the first is written in the genes and the very nature of all living things, and the second is in the form of conscience. Conscience is a more preserving factor of the spiritual species of man than genotype of the biological species. Everyone uses spiritual achievements of individuals, we remember everyone, we are grateful to everyone who help us improve our lives. So are we not all spiritual children of individual. So are not many world's leaders our spiritual fathers. So let's conclude. We give birth to children because we have to do this. We are pleased that it gives us the opportunity to love them. It has become more important for people to give birth to and care for our children so that there is someone to pass on our spiritual heritage. Let those who do not have physically genetically inherited children not lose hope for bliss and a long spiritual life. Such individuals can become more important spiritual parents or descendants, and their children can be much more. So, the above, I think, is enough to prove that our spiritual children are the closest to us, the most important. Thank you for your attention.